What is going on, guys? How is it going? Now, we are reviewing Sensational Spider-Man issue 41, and you guys might know it as One More Day Part 3. So this is a pretty awesome issue. At the end of the last issue, we actually was confronted by a little girl, and in this issue, we don't find out who it is. We kind of develop on that character a little bit, but it's actually in the next issue that we figure out who she is, and it's actually quite a shock as well. Obviously, I already know who it is, and I'm sure some of you guys will as well, but for you guys that don't know, it's a pretty interesting story, so look out for the next issue. But without further ado, guys, let's get into this issue, and yeah. Alright, so this issue picks up right from where the last issue left off. Literally right from where the last issue left off. And it's obviously Peter Parker and this little girl talking to each other with a conversation. All that awesome stuff. But this girl is actually quite strange. She knows a little bit too much. And she's kind of one of them girls that, you know, is really smart, but like a bit cocky as well. Like a bit overconfident. But this is actually my favourite page where it goes... like, on the pavement, it actually has the title or the saga of the comic, which is just awesome. But eventually, we actually start following this little girl around the streets and stuff like that. And she actually starts talking about how she's a little bit like a mum and she's a little bit like a dad. But what she do, I'm not going to reveal anything, but that's kind of a little hint there, guys, if you don't know, as to who this girl actually might be. But she actually runs off, and then Peter actually runs after her, and then the next minute she's disappeared. But one of the really interesting things is that Peter actually turns around to some guy sat on a bench. Now, in my opinion, he actually looks like a postman, but he's in fact a game mechanic, like game designer type of person. And to be honest, I think that would be an awesome job, to be honest. But this guy actually hates it. He just says that it's something that he can escape in. It's not really a real world like scenario, but it's because of the life events that's happened to him that's led him to this job. He pretty much had this job straight from out of high school, and he's just been there ever since. But yeah, then all of a sudden this guy rolls up in what looks to be a red Rolls Royce, or at least a red Bentley, depending on what you guys want to imagine the car what he was in. But obviously this guy is a multi-billionaire, and it seems that this guy was actually from around here, and he actually grew up here, and it kind of sounds like that he's had the same past as what Peter Parker had. He got bullied in high school, he was really smart and all that stuff. But they actually start talking about how this one girl got away, and he would trade everything, all of his money, all of his wealth, all of his like house and everything. He lives in like a 10,000 foot penthouse, something like that. He would trade it all for one girl, but eventually he actually disappears as well, and Peter turns around to the actual rich guy being gone. He's just disappeared, and then he turns around again to a woman in a red dress stood there, and she starts talking about... I actually think this is really interesting, this part, mainly because this is kind of the questions that you have in real life, that there's actually alternate realities, and maybe when you go to sleep and you dream, maybe that's an alternate reality, or maybe you're in a dream right now. But something that's actually quite scary as well is that one sentence could have changed Peter Parker from becoming Spider-Man. All it had to be was someone shouting him over, and the Spider would have missed him, and he would have never become Spider-Man, and of course, the future would have been changed forever. It's absolutely insane. Just think of the possibility of that happening. Just that little one thing could change absolutely everything. And if that did happen, then of course, now we see that the guy that was actually sat on the bench was actually an alternate version of Peter Parker. And of course, the rich billionaire was of course another version of Peter Parker. Prove them all wrong, the one that wanted to make them pay, and now they basically every single person that he wanted to make them pay forgot about him years ago. But that's just two of the Peter Parkers out of an infinite number. But then it is revealed that this woman is actually Mephisto, and it actually does turn out that that little girl was Mephisto as well. I'm not entirely sure whether I'm pronouncing that name right, by the way. But anyway, it turns out that he doesn't want Peter Parker's soul. He actually wants something a little bit more valuable, a little bit more closer to home. But I think one of the main things about Mephisto is that he's possibly the only person who can save Aunt May. And of course, we all know what Peter Parker's like. He would probably do anything and I mean literally anything, to save Aunt May's life, and that's kind of what it looks like he's going to be doing. But he says that he can't make that decision alone, and it actually turns out that Mephisto has already been talking to Mary Jane whilst he's been talking to Peter Parker at the same time. And obviously Mephisto is kind of a little bit of a trickster type of guy. He kind of persuades you to do something. It's a bit like a con artist on the side of the road, if you ask me. But this part is actually quite scary. It's not in terms of obviously horror or anything like that, but just in terms of how evil and sick-minded this is. He actually wants something that has their passions, that has their dreams, that has their happiness, and he wants their love, he wants their marriage, because Peter Parker and Mary Jane, they have probably the purest love out of everybody, and Peter Parker pretty much just says, hell no, no way, that is not happening. And it's really quite, not annoying, but Mary Jane actually considers doing this, which I think is absolutely insane. And the terms of this Mephisto deal is the fact that they only have one more day. They only have until midnight to say yes or no to the deal. And at midnight they will either lose Aunt May or their marriage and their life, which is absolutely crazy. But yeah, I know some of you guys don't actually like the one more day storyline, but in terms of story, in terms of like the emotional impacts and stuff like that, it is actually an awesome comic. But what you've got to think of is that the saga, like the One More Day saga, that is awesome, but the after effects with Brand New Day is just awful. So guys, try and consider that when you're looking at this comic. But I am actually going to give this issue an 8 out of 10. I think this storyline is fantastic. It's actually quite intriguing as well, if you ask me. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to go to my Facebook page and hit the like button. Of course, on there you'll see previews to future comics that aren't even released yet and stuff like that. And of course, go to the link in the description to follow me on Twitter. And don't forget to hit the like button on this video. And last but not least, guys, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And I will see you guys in my next video.